Hi, everybody. I'm going to be talking about tort liability and how to kind of understand tort liability and just different cases and what I believe would happen at my school and how you can do to prevent it. So, the first thing is being able to understand what tort liability is. Tort liability is the focus on civil wrongs. It covers injury that is the result of someone else's actions or their lack of actions. It's not necessarily wrongs against all of society, but it is the liability when a teacher acts on something or doesn't act on something and that causes injury to students. Tort is when a teacher does not perform the necessary duties that keep their students safe. So it's like negligence that happens. So the first case is a student has cerebral palsy. She is alone in the classroom with other students and she is pushed into a stack of chairs, which caused her to have severe head injuries and she had mild convulsions. The teacher did not call for help or send her to the nurse right away. And when she was in occupational therapy, the occupational therapist noticed the injuries. And so she sent her to the nurse. The nurse did not call home and she sent her on the bus to go home at the end of the day. So then when she was on the bus, she was having more convulsions. The bus driver stopped and called for help and asked for a nurse to be at the next stop, where a nurse never showed up. And the bus driver was then told to just take her home. So this likely would not happen at my school because we have a process of that if kids get hurt, what to do. But if it did, the teacher would at least experience a reevaluation of their work in the building. And most likely they would be put on a plan where they are observed. In order to prevent this from happening, students should always have supervision. If the teacher needs to step out to use the restroom or whatever, you should probably call somebody that has the ability to step in your room and watch your kids. If something like this does happen, there should be steps in place. So there should be steps in place so the students are safe and parents are contacted. So you need to take the necessary steps. The second case is about a boy who attends summer school. He decides to leave, and it is before the end of the day. As he is walking in the crosswalk, a motorcycle strikes him, and he experiences serious head injuries, and, his mom experiences emotional distress. This, again, should not happen, but if it were, the people in charge of checking students in and out would have a punishment or a reevaluation and or the teacher in charge of the student. It's important that schools have requirements of check in and out and that there are expectations for teachers in charge of watching the students. It's also important to make sure that it's even and there's not a ton of students being observed by one teacher, because it is easy to not notice when a student slips out when you have so many kids to keep track of. Our ladies in the office do a great job of making sure that if a student is checked out over the phone and the parent calls that they're here and they don't want to walk into the office, that they are watched as they walk out and get into the car to make sure that they're going where they're supposed to be going. The third case is about a student who attended a summer trip for school, and she contracted a disease from a tick bite, and it left her with neurological damage, and she was unable to speak. So their claim is that the school failed to inform the parents and students of possible contact with disease-carrying insects, and they didn't inform them about proper insect repellent and clothing that they could wear, and they claim that their daughter was not told how to dress in preparation for the hike that they went on. So if this happened in my school, the teacher could face disciplinary action, be required to submit all information and research in regards to field trips before even scheduling. Measures that we could take to prevent this sort of thing is to make sure that we have field trip permission forms with all of the necessary information. I know that this case is a little bit extreme, but it also goes with going to different places. Even just on bus in the city, we need to make sure that we have all details about where we're going, what we're doing, times. Proper research about the location should be done, especially when you're leaving your close-knit area. The fourth one is about students who attended this free after-school program. The students created a kissing club where it resulted in going too far and the sexual assault of one of the students. There were upwards of 300 students playing on the playground with only about 1 to 2 teachers at times watching 300 students. Many adults knew about the kissing club and did not stop it from happening, including the principal. If this happened at my school, we would definitely be reevaluating the program and how many students can attend, and or the necessity of getting more teachers to watch the students. The people who knew about it and didn't do anything would have repercussions of their actions. So this is a really easy way to prevent it. You need more bodies, you need more teachers, you need more people watching out. If you notice that a group is forming an inappropriate type group, they should be separated and just kind of kept an eye on. The teachers also shouldn't be just standing and socializing with each other. They need to be walking around and observing all of the students, and there needs to be some sort of training in place. The fifth one is about a younger student who has disabilities, and they were strapped in their car seat on the bus and fell asleep. They were left in their seat on the bus. The driver parked the bus, didn't do their routine check, and then the child was left alone for over an hour until the mom showed up to the preschool where the child was supposed to be, and they were not there, and they went back and found the child on the bus. So, if this happened at my school, I would assume that the bus driver would be released from their duties because they did not perform the routine check that they're required to do. This is a really easy fix to prevent this. Yeah, it's great to say that you should just do your routine, but also I think it's important that there should be 2 adults on bus duty so they can check each other and have multiple people checking the bus and making sure that everyone's getting off or checking a roster. And there should be some sort of system accountability partner sort of thing. So some things that I took away from this: whenever possible, work in pairs so there's another adult present that can vouch for you and make sure that everyone's doing their job properly. It's also important to document everything that happens in a situation. Talk to the appropriate supervisors and then document what you said to the appropriate supervisors so you can keep track that you were doing what you needed to do to solve a problem. Just like with the club after school, teachers did report it to the people higher up. And it's important to document what was said when it was said. You have to be proactive. Notice things in your room that could be harmful. Notice things that could be possibly dangerous. Look around. Do a quick scan when you enter a new area with your students. I know it's hard, but try and stay in the middle of your line when they're going in and out of the classroom. I know that a lot of times things that happen are when kids are goofing around in the room, when a teacher is in the hall. Have a discussion with students after class so you're not leaving students alone. If you feel like you need to discuss with a student, it's important to talk with them after class so you don't have 20 plus students sitting in your room by themselves that could cause an issue. So the last slide is just my resources about my cases that I found. And this was super interesting to me because I know that, the negligence is not noticing that there's something dangerous on the playground or that a bookcase can fall, but it's also being proactive in your placement and how you're handling yourself.